Hey there, Laura here, mom of two, holistic nutritionist, and founder of the Lavish Method, where I teach women who just want to lose weight a simple way of eating that doesn't involve giving up wine, chocolate, or anything else that makes life worth living. And today I'm on here sharing my top 5 reasons why high-fat diets are amazing for just about anything. Ready? Awesome, let's do this. Number 1, high-fat diets are unreal because they result in fantastic, steady, high energy all day long, which is one of the best things you can get from food. So in a traditional way of eating, the way we tend to eat now with a lot of carbohydrates, we tend to have really unbalanced blood sugar. And really unbalanced blood sugar basically means that we are going to be hungry, we are going to be cranky, and at times our energy is going to just crash. So one of the key indicators that your blood sugar is unstable is if you get that tired feeling, if you get that 2 o'clock in the afternoon, 3 o'clock in the afternoon crash where you're just flippin' exhausted. When we eat a high-fat diet, what happens is our blood sugar stays really stable throughout the day. We don't get the crashes and the lulls. Instead, we just get that fantastic feeling of being awake and energized and with it all day long, which is such a wonderful thing to get used to. We'll talk a little bit more about blood sugar in the next ones, but for now, just know that steady blood sugar equals steady energy, and high-fat diets give you both of those things. Ready to move on? Awesome. Number 2. The reason I love high-fat diets is because they have been shown to help lower triglycerides in people who have high triglycerides. Now, if cardiovascular disease or heart issues are a worry for you or are in your family history, you likely know about triglycerides. If you don't, triglycerides are a marker that are being used now more than anything else to determine if you are at risk for heart disease. Triglycerides go up in a high carbohydrate, especially high sugar diet. They have definitely been tied to eating too much sugar. Triglycerides have been shown to go down in studies showing participants eating a high-fat diet. So that basically means that high-fat diets are beneficial if you are worried about cardiovascular issues, if you're looking to, find a way to help prevent future heart issues. Definitely look to a high-fat diet. I know, counterintuitive, right? But the truth is the truth, and that's what happens. So number 3, the third reason I love high-fat diets is because, and this is probably the biggest one for me, high-fat diets get rid of cravings. Like, cravings are not even a thing anymore. And I know, you're probably thinking, how is that even possible? Cravings are emotional. I crave food, when I'm stressed out, when I'm tired, when I'm this, when I'm that. Yes. But there's a physiological reason that you crave that food, and it has to do with the way your body responds to specific events. So let's break it down. You need to know a little bit of background first, and if you've been following me for, any amount of time, you've probably heard me say at least once that I hate the idea of food groups, that food groups aren't a thing. There's no you need to eat this many servings of grains and this many of dairy and alternatives and this and this and this. What if you can't eat grains? What if you don't do dairy? I mean, it's silly. Food is made up of 3 things. All your food is made up of fat, it is made up of protein, and it is made up of carbohydrates. That is it. Those are your food groups, okay? Those 3 food groups have fundamental differences, and the one that matters the most when we're talking about cravings and blood sugar is digestion time. So fat takes a super long time to digest. Fat's like 3 hours, maybe a little bit more, just to digest. Protein is a little bit shorter than that at about 2 hours, and carbs are the fastest to digest. This is important. So carbohydrates can digest in as little as half an hour up to maybe an hour or so. Okay? So let's run through a couple of different scenarios, and you'll be able to see how cravings basically originate. So let's say you're eating a meal. Say you're having a bowl of whole wheat pasta with just plain tomato sauce. You're going the healthy route. You're not adding any fatty ground beef or anything like that. It's just the whole grains and the tomato sauce. Okay, so that is basically a fully carbohydrate-based meal. When you eat that, that meal digests really, really quickly because it's all carbs. So when that digests really, really quickly, all the energy from that food is basically sent out into your blood in the form of glucose really, really quickly, all at once. Okay, once that sugar hits the blood, once that glucose is in the blood, your body responds by sending insulin in. So insulin comes in, it basically picks up all the little sugar molecules and it takes them to the working muscles so that they can use them for energy. The problem happens when those muscles aren't really working because, you're hanging out, you're sitting on your couch, you're at your table, you're in your car, you're at your desk, wherever you're eating, odds are you're not working out. So because all of that energy got sent out at once, all of that energy got picked up at once, and now it's being taken to the muscles, your muscles don't need it, right? They're just hanging out. So they're like, no, all good, don't need any energy here. And so insulin does what insulin does best, which is store that energy as fat so your body can use it later. Not cool. Then there's a then too, there's a rebound effect here. Because that carb digested all at once, digested so quickly, and the insulin came in, it took all of that energy out of the blood. Now the blood sugar or the energy in your blood is too low. And so your body wants to bring it back up again. And your body is really, really smart. So it knows the fastest thing that it can take in to bring that sugar up is carbs because they digest the fastest. And so now you're craving carbohydrates. So now you want something sweet, or you want some chips, or whatever your kind of pain is, whatever that is, you want it. So it basically sets off this roller coaster reaction where you're constantly up and down all day long. Stress works in a very similar way. Stress spikes cortisol levels and adrenaline, and that basically messes with your blood sugar in a similar way, and you end up once again with these cravings because everything kind of leaves the blood at once and it needs more. Right? So let's go to scenario number 2, where now instead of just having, that carbohydrate-based meal, that healthy meal, let's add some ground beef to it. So let's add some regular ground beef. So there's fat in that, there's protein in that. Now it's a whole different story because now as we're digesting that food, what's happening is digestion is slowed down. So instead of everything being digested at once, well, now we have little bits of energy going into the blood at one time. Then we have smaller amounts of insulin, and that smaller amount of insulin can take a smaller amount of sugar to the working muscles, and the muscles can say, oh, I don't really need it, but I could use a little bit of energy because I'm existing. That takes some energy. Sure, I'll use it. And then they're able to use it, and you're not storing the same amount of fat. And the amazing thing after that is you're not craving the carbs afterwards because your blood sugar stays stable because things are still digesting, which is amazing. So that is why I love a high-fat lifestyle for cravings. The next reason number 4, is hunger. And it's very similar because it ties into digestion as well. So when you eat a high-fat diet, you're not hungry the same way as when you eat a high-carb diet because your food is taking a really long time to digest, and as it's digesting, your body is getting the bits of energy that it needs from that meal, and it's able to use that energy. And so your blood sugar stays really stable, and you're getting that constant influx of energy, and so you're able to go a really long time between meals. In the traditional way of eating a high carb diet, what happens is, we eat carbohydrate-based meals and they digest really quickly, and then we're hungry an hour later, an hour and a half later, and then we eat something else, we need to snack. And it's like you're constantly needing to eat, which when you're busy, it's inconvenient and it's tough. When you eat high fat and you have these bigger meals focused around fats and proteins, then what happens is that you're really, really full until your next meal. You don't snack. You don't need to snack. And the feeling of hunger is different. Instead of that, I need to eat right now. I feel kind of shaky. I feel sick. I'm getting a headache. Those blood sugar issue signs. That's not what it's like. You're just like, oh, I'm kind of hungry. My body feels like it could use more food. And so you make a mental note to go and make some food. And it's not like, oh, I need something right now, what's quick, what's easy. You don't fall into the fast food trap, what's on hand, what's here right now. Instead, you're able to just grab what you need, which is amazing. So I love high-fat diets when it comes to controlling hunger. And then the 5th and the last reason, and this is pretty cool too, high-fat diets are amazing because they don't require willpower to implement. Because you get your blood sugar under control, because you're not depriving your body of foods that it needs and wants, because you're not depriving your body of calories and you're not eating enough because you're trying to lose weight, you know, you don't have that mental struggle every single day. Studies have shown that we have a finite amount of willpower. It's not a never-ending resource. And the reason at the end of the day that you completely lose your willpower and you eat a bag of chips or an entire bucket of popcorn, or you know, you drink an entire bottle of wine, or whatever, you know, the issue for you is, it's not that you're weaker than, you know, somebody else. It's not that you can't do it. It's that you've already exhausted your finite sources of willpower throughout your day. And at that point, willpower is done, and now you're giving in to the emotional being underneath who wants what it's been deprived of. So when you focus on adding healthy fats to the diet and you have a high fat, moderate protein, low carb diet instead of that traditional model, then basically you end up not having to use willpower at all. So you don't set yourself up for failure the way you do with any other style of eating. So those are my top 5 reasons why high fat diets are amazing. If you enjoyed this video, I would suggest subscribing down below to my channel because I put out a new video every single week with things you need to know about high fat, moderate protein, and low carb diets. I'm always looking for new inspiration, so if you have a topic you want me to cover, leave a comment, send me a message. I would love to hear from you, and I will do my best to put it in a future episode. Now, if you love my whole thing, what I'm about, I would invite you to my brand new and free webinar happening on Tuesday at 8 p.m. Eastern. So we're gonna cover basically the 5 secrets to using a high-fat diet to achieve weight loss, better energy, lowered cravings, all those good things. It's totally free. It's about an hour. It's a lot of fun. You can sign up on my website at www.lavishnutrition.com. So once again, thanks for hanging out with me. I can't wait to talk to you again soon. Bye.